Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows. Today, I want to talk about Mummies. It's a new animation from Warner Brothers that follows a couple of Egyptian mummies as they go on an adventure in the land of the living. It was directed by Juan Jesus Garcia Galoca and written by Jordi Gasul and Javier Lopez Barrera. Just as a heads up, I watched the English version of the film, so I won't be commenting on the original voice actors. In the English version, the male lead Tut is voiced by Joe Thomas. The female lead Nefer is voiced by Eleanor Tomlinson. Sechem, Tut's little brother, is voiced by Santiago Winder, and the villain is voiced by Hugh Bonneville. In general, the movie is a mild adventure film with a heavy romance element. It spends 30 minutes or so setting up the characters and their life in the land of the dead before taking them out of their comfort zone and into a new world. It doesn't explain anything related to how mummies work, how the land of the dead works, or any of the rules regarding the travel between worlds. In the land of the living, the mummies don't do anything all that outrageous, and the movie only spends a little bit of time on the differences between their worlds. Most of the time is dedicated to the romance plot between Tut and Nefer. The two don't have much in common, and the romance relies on outdated tropes to work. In fact, it's almost identical to Aladdin. A commoner man meets a princess who just wants to be normal and live out her dreams. The two end up in an arranged marriage, and then grow to love each other over the course of the film. The attraction between them feels forced, and the ending does not feel earned on any level. Nefer was incredibly selfish the entire time and never gave Tut a reason to pursue her. Tut is also pretty standoffish the entire time too. He treats Ed terribly in front of her and is so controlling that he basically has to be convinced to let her be her own person. The story is technically consistent, but that's because it never actually sets any ground rules and it exists in a fantasy realm. It's also boring and doesn't have any real stakes. They don't do anything all that adventurous throughout the film, and Tut is the only one with a potential punishment for failing. Unfortunately, the film doesn't give any reason to believe that it might actually happen to him. Outside of the romance, there's only a little bit of comedy with a lot of jokes falling flat, though there are some laughs to be had every now and again. The cast does a good job of their roles, imparting a good amount of emotion into their voices, and no one feels out of place. No one really stands out either, but that's not the cast's fault. There aren't any big emotional speeches, no crazy moments, and nothing for them to excel with. The one person who comes close is the villain played by Hugh Bonneville. His character is another cartoonishly evil man whose sole reason for action is a selfish need to be famous. The thing that elevates him is how well Bonneville switches from a cruel dictator to bumbling, obedient son. It's pretty fun to see how much of a mama's boy he is, and he plays the joke well every time it comes up. It does get overused, but it was worth a few chuckles. Visually, this film looks good, and the animation style is something I usually enjoy, but they just didn't do anything with it. It tells the story in a simplistic way with only one minor continuity error. The only time it gets flashy is during a few scenes near the beginning and during the big finale. Those moments are well done, but they aren't significant. They could have shot this as a practical effect live action, and I don't think much would have changed. Animation is a format for extravagance and creativity, and this movie showed very little of either. Sound-wise, the film is doing everything it's supposed to do. It's got generic background instrumentals that are effectively used to follow and extract every last drop of emotion from the scenery. It works well to hype up any given moment, and a few times throughout the movie, it comes together with the scenery to create something special. Although the film is supposed to be a musical, there are only 3 songs sung by the characters in the film, and they're all generic pop songs that sound very similar. They're technically well done, but again, they lack the heart and passion of other musicals' songs. Overall, the film just lacks the creativity and originality it needs to make this story work. It is basically Aladdin in its story, but without any of the charm. The songs from Aladdin were magical songs that express the inner thoughts and feelings of the characters, and this film just doesn't do that. The romance between Tut and Nefer isn't all that compelling, and the film is only mildly humorous. I was actually kind of bored watching it. I don't think it provides anything new or original, and it doesn't do a good enough job of what's there to make up for it. 5 out of 10. Remember guys, those are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below.
Well, we'll talk to you later, Dr. Jones.